There's just a lot of hype out there about being over 60. It almost feels like we're supposed to assume being over 60 will be an automatic crisis. So here's the thing, being over 60 just simply means you're standing in the doorway of a chapter no one prepared you for. So don't go anywhere because now is the time to sort out what needs to be sorted, to reclaim what we've set aside for decades, and to walk our own path with intention. So in this video, we're going to look back over the over 60 struggles, the real ones. Then we'll glance back to the 4 or 5 decades where we had our steady purpose. We had a defined belonging. We were rock star contributors, and we had tons of relationships and a schedule that shaped our identity. And you'll see how those decades were they weren't wasted. They were training for this very moment. We're going to align who we were with who we're becoming. And then I'll give you 3 simple, doable tips to tie this all together so you can move forward without fear. And if you've ever whispered, I don't know where I fit anymore, this is for you. And bonus tip number 4 will help answer your question. Hey, I'm Cindy, and this is the Happy Chase. Welcome. This is a channel that I built on reboots, rebuilds, and the courage to start again at any age. I'm not speaking from the mountaintop here. I'm sorting my own life as we go along, my own finances, my own identity, because now at 66, this is a chapter that I'm looking to explode into, and I'm hoping to get it all right, and I want to share it along with you. This is about us designing our next chapter. One thing I have come to realize is sorting the life that you built into the life you're building. It's about not starting over, but starting from experience that we already have. This is something that Vincent van Gogh had penned to his brother. Normality is a paved road. It's comfortable to walk, but no flowers grow on it. It's actually believed that he did this at a time when he went to Paris in 1887. That was a time he broke away from traditional academic painting and he stepped off the paved road of realism and he began creating something that would define him forever. So if you think of that, what Van Gogh was depicting there, up until now, your path has been defined by others that needed you. If you kept walking that path, looking for what's expected of you, you'll miss out on the most important meeting of your life. This is your crossroad. Take a step forward and you'll find the woman that you never had time for. This is your crossroad where you step off that expected path and begin choosing yourself. First, let's look at the 4 elements that have you stuck right now. The very ones that kept your momentum for decades. First, we have belonging. You belong to workplaces, families, routines, and roles. Your identity was woven into being needed. Others counted on you. You were the solution, the cheerleader, and you were everyone's rock. 2, the contributor. This is your unspoken pride right here, right? You showed up, you worked, you solved problems. And just like many, many women of our generation, you carried more than your share. And number 3, relationships. Think back those decades, multiple relationships. You had partners, kids, coworkers, friends, neighbors. Your life was full of connection. Even if it meant some would be really, really messy, your life was full of them. And number 4, schedule with purpose. You had structure. You had deadlines. You had a reason to get up every morning. All 4, not just habits. These were the architecture of your life. It's what gave you that driving force. And this is where everything changes when you get to decide. So what exactly happens when that architecture shifts and you find you're standing in an unfamiliar place? As you grew through the decades, you had plenty of shifts. You stood firm for each one. Your arms were wide open, embracing what came. Does that sound like you? I know it sounds like me. Yet, This feels so different. Your arms are open, but they're actually gesturing, now what? Right? So do me a favor, drop one unfamiliar over 60 struggle in the comments. Yours could be the one our community needs to hear, the one that says to her, you're not alone. All right, so now this is where you can actually lower your arms, where that magic's going to happen. Those same four elements designed to make that shift for self belonging, you're going to go from belonging to self belonging. You spent decades belonging to the roles that needed you. Now you're learning a different kind of belonging, the kind where you need peace, you need presence, and your pace matters now. And you get to choose yourself with the same devotion you gave everyone else in these past decades. And there'll be no apologies needed for wanting your own rhythm, your own contentment. And you can actually have contentment with a smile in this phase of your life. And this will be the first time that you actually get to say, I get to be the one who's held up. And this is the best part. You realize this isn't selfish, it's actually overdue. Contributions. This is where your contributions actually shift. They shift for you now into meaningful micro purpose. You don't need a 40-hour job to contribute. Purpose can be small, it can be local, personal, and it can be creative. Purpose in this chapter doesn't have to be big or loud. It can be the kind of purpose that just fits right in your hands right now. Something close to home, something that feels like you, something that adds a little good to the world without draining your energy. Purpose can be that small, steady thing with a lot of intention, right? It can be so small, it could be tending your garden, to enormous where you're sharing a skill or you're creating something beautiful. These tiny acts still matter, they still count, and they still shape a life, yours and those you share it with. So this is a real great one. I like it, and I think you're going to have fun with this because when you think of relationships, what you've done in the past decades of the how and why relationships formed and the matter, all the matters of every aspect of life, whether it's you were raising children and there was PTAs, children friends, you were working, so you had project teams that you needed to work with all kinds of personalities. Now is the time you get to choose connections. You get to choose who stays. You get to decide who drains you, and you get to decide who grows with you. And you can actually embrace that. So thinking back, you were stuck in predicaments where you had to tolerate certain people um, and deflecting your own wins. Well, their comfort came first. Relationships now are chosen, right? You get to choose those connections. You get to decide who stays and who drains you, and just let them go, right? You don't need that in your life. But most important, you get to let those who grow with you stand beside you. And then that relationship actually becomes your chosen connection, and it is just going to flourish. And then there's your schedule and your purpose, right? So forget the schedule. Being over 60, that rigid routine is no longer your boss. You are. This chapter isn't about replacing your old life, it's about integrating your old life. You don't need a strict timeline anymore. You need a gentle rhythm, a rhythm that supports your energy and actually lets you breathe. You don't lose your purpose after 60. What you're doing is you're refining it. All right, so I do something, and I'm wondering if it sounds like you too. Do you actually beg for rainy days? Not because your garden needs it, but because you do. You just need a reason to do something, no matter what it is, but you need it for yourself without feeling the guilt. The guilt of just doing nothing. Is that you? I know that's me. And the thing to know right now, these are our guilt-free moments. Instead of rushing to a clock, your days are moved by whatever feels right to you. You might spend a morning lost in a painting, or yes, that rainy day, and you might be digitizing old family photos so you can pass them on. It's about lingering, the where and the when you see fit. There's no more checking clocks, no more checking phones. It's all about what's happening in the moment. And yes, finally, you'll have 3 hours that you can spend in the garden just because the sun feels good. So this is your time. This is you shaping what matters to your heart. This is you passing on what matters most to the world. This is just you, your purpose. Swapping a rushed morning alarm for a peaceful routine. Engaging in hobbies that have no rules and no deadlines. And then flipping networking to legacy sharing. Making meaningful connections. Sorting what you hold dear and teaching a specific skill. Improving your community, volunteering in an area you care about. This is you shaping what this chapter is going to look like. All right, so here are the tips that I promised. These are the tips that I used, kind of incorporated into my life to get me into my 60s. I'm 66 now, and they do work. So, tip number 1, create a 3-item daily rhythm. One for your body, one for your mind, and one for your future self. So, my body, mine was to create a got to move it routine. I picked stretching. That is one easy routine and it's got maximum benefits. And then the mind, right? One thing for your mind. This could be as simple as rising early to enjoy a part of life that you've been missing out on during those previous chapters. Too busy in the morning, getting family off, getting ready for work. This is your time. And this is actually a kickstart to your day. And I highly encourage you to follow suit. And then the one thing for your future self. This could be journaling, this could be art, whatever grounds you. But the rule is the golden hour is the anchor of the concept. Create one unshakable, slow routine that anchors your day without restricting it. And then audit your energy, not your clock. Stop tracking hours and start tracking how you feel. So, tip number 2, I call this the trickle feed. This is pass on what matters most without making it feel like a heavy chore or a job. So, tip number 2, you're going to reclaim one skill from your past, something you were good at, something you forgot you loved, and then bring it forward and fill those quiet moments with it. And tip number 3, build micro belonging. Join one small thing. It can be online or in person. It could be a class. It could be a group, a hobby, a weekly ritual like a book club. This is one tiny commitment that lowers the pressure. It gives you that courage to start a fresh circle. You cross paths with new friends and naturally open that door to your next phase of purpose. All right, so a little bonus tip here because it's important. Tip 4, give yourself permission to be new. It's strange, isn't it? After decades of shifts, pivots, and survival, this chapter is where we struggle to let ourselves be beginners. It comes down to this: you're going to be okay. Your purpose is not lost, and you're just refining everything that you've learned in these past decades. And you're evolving, and you're finally coming back to yourself. You're not done, you're just getting interesting. Give yourself permission to be brand new today. Whether it's painting, pickleball, or starting a blog, tell yourself ahead of time. The goal today is just to practice, not to produce a masterpiece. Evolving requires making messy mistakes. Shift your mindset from what I am achieving to how I'm feeling. So when you're trying something new and you're feeling awkward, clumsy, or even displaced, just catch your inner critic and remind yourself that discomfort is not a failure, it's growth. And you can laugh at the awkwardness, take a breath, and keep stepping forward. This is your crossroad. Take a step forward and then another. And right there is when you will find the woman that you didn't have time for before. So, if anything we just talked about gave you the courage, the clarity, or the push you needed today, please support me and hit all of those buttons. And until the next one, go ahead and take that first step on your own path. Savor every single brave action you take, because this chapter, it's completely yours. And you are so much more ready than you think. And I'll be right there cheering you on.